Claristrat Core Method Foundational Diagrams. In this document contains a view of the program's core methodology through its proprietary visual diagrams. The full explanation of the methodology, including the concepts represented and implied by each diagram, will be delivered throughout the program's priming on the learning platform and live experiential sessions. Guiding Principles. Let's walk through the guiding principles that anchor our coaching methodology. First, ethics. Trust and safety form the foundation of all coaching work. Without them, nothing else is sustainable. That's why no level of insight or progress can ever justify a breach of trust, safety, or respect. Second, integration. We're not chasing external compliance or checklists. The real aim is inner coherence, aligning values, context, and priorities. The outcome is greater congruence between the inner world and outward action. Third, momentum. Progress should move at the pace of readiness and alignment, not force. Transformation is tuned to emergence and breakthrough, not imposed timelines. Fourth, vitality. Growth depends on energy and meaning. Burnout, depletion, and disengagement signal misalignment, not effort well spent. And finally, decision integrity. Choices must be values congruent, auditable, and reflective of true agency. When agency is aligned, restoring it takes priority over any notion of speed or forward motion. Together, these 5 principles ensure that every engagement is ethical, coherent, sustainable, and transformative, without sacrificing the leader's well-being or authenticity. Mastery across traditions. Most coaching programs stop at teaching the coaching arc. What's missing is structure around the core pillars that actually drive lasting leadership growth. Claristrat strengthens the practice by weaving in 3 levels of mastery. At the core, we anchor everything in ethics and evidence-based coaching science. This holds the integrity of the relationship. At the primary level, we build depth with leadership psychology, adult development, and systems thinking. These disciplines provide the scaffolding for growth, helping leaders move through developmental stages, expand perspective, and handle complexity. At the applied level, we extend into fields like neuroscience, service design, organizational change, and systems sustainability. These strengthen the coach's ability to connect insights to real-world market conditions, where decision-making has to withstand volatility, uncertainty, and competing pressures. The point is not to make coaches into domain experts, but to equip them with judgment, knowing when and how to bring each lens forward. Used with restraint, this integration makes coaching both principled and practical, capable of securing neuroplastic change and sustaining leadership capacity under today's conditions. Core holds the integrity, primary provides the developmental backbone, and applied ensures relevance in the market. Together, they don't dilute the work, they strengthen it. The Claripath. The Claripath wheel is our map of the coaching journey. The structure we'll be working through across sessions. It's not a checklist. It's a spiral that deepens over time. Each cycle brings more clarity, presence, and impact. It organizes the core method into 3 intuitive phases, each with its own dimensions of leadership and adult development. Phase 1 is intentional awareness. Here we slow down to build trust, self-knowledge, and situational clarity. Leaders examine their patterns, resilience, and identity while mapping the triggers, stakeholders, and dynamics shaping them. This creates the conditions for safety and honest observation. Phase 2 is dynamic meaning. Awareness alone isn't enough. It has to be reframed into sense-making. Leaders examine their system, roles, and culture, then challenge hidden assumptions. Through reframing, they test new points of view and imagine multiple possible futures. Finally, they assemble a vision that aligns energy, values, and goals. Phase 3 is iterative transformation. This is where purpose becomes direction. Leaders orient to their North Star, chart concrete pathways, and build rhythm for momentum. Along the way, they expand capacity, learning to witness resistance, integrate hidden parts, and sustain presence under pressure. Coaches don't need to force each element into every engagement, but in transformational work, these dimensions tend to surface naturally. The work also has boundaries. Coaching is not therapy, and unsafe practices are out of scope here. Our role isn't to diagnose or heal trauma, but to support leadership growth within safe, ethical limits. Over time, this cycle builds a feedback loop. Awareness fuels meaning, meaning drives transformation, and transformation brings you back to awareness at a higher level. That's what makes the Claripath spiral a true engine of leadership development. Growth phases and component descriptions. The Claripath is deliberately structured with phases, subphases, and components. Each phase contains 3 subphases, and each subphase contains 3 components. This nesting gives the method precision without making it rigid. For you as a coach in training, it's important to read and understand the rationale behind each phase, subphase, and component. You don't need to master them all at once, or try to force them into every coaching engagement. Instead, think of this framework as a reference point. You'll return to it repeatedly, each time recognizing more of its depth as your practice and your clients evolve. Coaching is not a straight line. Some elements may surface out of order. For instance, a client might clarify their vision before they've fully explored their patterns, or purpose may become clearer only after a round of experimentation. That's not a problem. The spiral means you can revisit elements when the time is right, with greater maturity and insight. So, your task isn't to memorize a sequence, but to internalize the logic of why these phases exist, how they fit together, and how they can support transformational work. The framework will always be there to come back to, each time deepening your own learning journey. Coaching arcs. Up to now, we've looked at the organic structure of the coaching journey across time, the Claripath. Now let's zoom into the structure of a single session. This table compares several well-known models: Grow, Clear, Fuel, and Orid. While the language differs, they all follow a similar arc. First, there's framing, defining the focus or contracting around what matters today. Then comes exploring, listening, assessing reality, or understanding the current context. Next, there's meaning making, helping the client reflect, interpret, and reframe their situation. After that, clients identify options or potential actions. And finally, there are next steps, committing, reviewing, or deciding what to carry forward. So even though each model has its own history and terminology, they all emphasize the same key requirements of an effective coaching conversation: clear focus, deep exploration, reflective meaning-making, and actionable closure. As you practice, you'll see these arcs not as rigid scripts, but as reliable scaffolds. They help ensure that each coaching session has structure, while still leaving room for the deeper, spiral process of the Claripath to unfold across the whole engagement. Orid. Let's double-click on Orid. This method originated in the 1970s and is widely used in facilitation and coaching because it mirrors the way people actually process experience. It breaks a conversation into 4 steps. Objective: what is happening? What are the external facts? Reflective: how does it affect me? What are my feelings and sensations? Interpretive: what does it mean? How do I make sense of it in context? Decisional: now what? What actions or choices follow? What's especially useful is how Ord splits exploration into the outer landscape of facts and the inner landscape of emotions. Most leaders tend to privilege one over the other. Some rush to facts and ignore feelings, others focus on emotion without grounding it. Orid ensures both are surfaced before moving to meaning-making and decisions. That's why it's called a microstructure. You can embed Orid inside any phase of a coaching conversation. It acts like a subroutine, making sure you don't skip essential steps of observation, emotion, meaning, and action. It's important to stress: as a coach, you're free to use any framework that fits your style and your client's needs. Orid is just one option. What makes it valuable is its simplicity and balance. It makes sure both external facts and internal responses are surfaced before sense-making and action. ORID illustrated. Here's ORID in action. Imagine a client debriefing a recent setback. ORID gives us a way to structure the conversation so nothing essential gets skipped. We start with the objective step. What actually happened in the meeting? Who was present? The goal here is to surface observable facts and data, establishing shared context. Next, the reflective step. What was your initial reaction? How did you feel when the tension increased? This brings in feelings and gut-level responses that often drive behavior. Then comes the interpretive step. What does this suggest about team dynamics? What is your role in this recurring friction? Here, the client makes sense of the situation by examining assumptions, values, and implications. Finally, the decisional step. What can be done to improve future meetings? What will you do next? This translates reflection into commitments and next steps. Now, these are illustrative questions only. They show the type of inquiry that belongs in each phase, not a script to be repeated word for word. In real coaching, the right questions are the ones that emerge through deep listening, tracking what the client is really asking for, and meeting them there. That's what makes ORID a flexible tool. It gives you a map, but the path you walk depends on the conversation unfolding in real time. Fibonacci's coaching flow. The Fibonacci coaching flow describes how senior leader conversations actually unfold, spiraling, looping, sometimes feeling scattered. But what looks off topic is rarely random. The unconscious links subjects through hidden themes, emotions, or rationales. One topic only chains to the next if something meaningful connects them. The coach's role is to follow the stream without losing orientation, listening for the threads that tie the conversation together. These threads are the keys to addressing the client's immediate issue, while also building the self-awareness required for deeper growth. The 4 compass points keep the coach anchored. Follow the stream. Start where the client's energy flows. Enter through the door they open, building trust and alignment. Focus on the whole leader. Keep the full person in view, not just their role or problem. Explore values, identity, context, and patterns. Find the light. Surface moments of clarity or breakthrough insight that can shift how the leader sees themselves in their system. Fulfill the purpose. Link insight back to direction and action, moving toward alignment with deeper purpose and goals. Used together and alongside structures like ORID, these compass points ensure that even non-linear conversations deepen awareness, strengthen presence, and move leaders toward meaningful transformation.
That sums our overview. For more on the Claristrat Core Method Flagship Program, access your learning platform or contact Institute at claristrat.com for inquiries.